gunfights, renegades, pistoleros, the Wild West is replete with American folklore. The bold stories of cowboys and lawmen have turned into the fabric of legend, their demises frequently as theatrical as their existences. These notorious individuals did not simply disappear. Their ends became embedded in the rough, unvarnished reality of Wild West lore. And ultimately, despite their mythic status, many succumbed to the harsh facts of frontier existence. In this film, we will uncover the astonishing and sorrowful ends of 10 historical gunfighters from the Wild West. 1. Belle Starr. Belle Starr, often more linked to criminals than being one herself, was once found guilty of stealing horses and served 9 months in prison. Following that, no further charges were successful. Nevertheless, she associated with robbers and dishonest individuals, even wedding twice, with both spouses meeting bloody ends in gunfights. Her time spent amongst perilous associates ultimately overtook her. One afternoon, while returning home, Belle was struck twice in the back. The identity of the shooter is still unconfirmed, and speculation about her unexplained passing persists. In one account of the events, it is claimed that her own child, Ed, could have been implicated in her mournful demise. 2. Wild Bill Hickok. Wild Bill Hickok was among the most fabled characters of the Old West, renowned for his peerless talent with a firearm and his brave, audacious nature. Before rising to become a famous lawman and gunfighter, Hickok had been employed as a scout, a soldier, and even a wagon train driver. His precise marksmanship and intrepid spirit gained him a fame that extended great distances. Yet, his life concluded sorrowfully in Deadwood, South Dakota, in 1876. While seated in a bar playing cards, Hickok was murdered from behind by Jack McCall, a man harboring resentment. Hickok held a pair of aces and eights, a combination that would later be infamously called the dead man's hand. His passing signified the conclusion of a period for the Wild West, securing his position as a tragic figure in lore. 3. Jesse James. Jesse James, the notorious bandit, had long been watched by Missouri's governor, Thomas Crittenden. Resolved to apprehend the accomplished robber, Crittenden dedicated himself to capturing Jesse. After a botched bank heist, Jesse and his sibling Frank disappeared from view. But while Jesse's criminal career persisted, Frank started to seek reform, separating himself from the group and attempting to pursue a lawful life. This change in allegiances compelled Jesse to enlist novice, less dedicated associates. And shortly, the Ford brothers arrived on the scene. Charlie, the elder sibling, had already become a member of Jesse's band, and Bob joined shortly thereafter. When Bob discovered Crittenden's $10,000 prize for Jesse's arrest, he viewed it as a chance for profit. Bob persuaded Charlie to turn on Jesse, and they negotiated an agreement with the governor for the reward and an official pardon. Months went by, and the Ford brothers resided in Jesse's home. One day, as Jesse stood on a stool, nonchalantly cleaning a painting, he took off his coat, and in that instant of exposure, Bob took the opportunity, firing into Jesse's skull, a treacherous act that would resonate through the ages. Before we proceed to the next gunfighter, press that like button and subscribe for additional Wild West stories. 4. Butch Cassidy. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid are titles that evoke the well-known cinematic depiction by Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Yet the actual individuals lived existences just as compelling. Cassidy's group, the Wild Bunch, regularly got away with $35,000 per theft, and their capacity to evade authority was mythical. Butch's detailed preparations rendered them almost uncatchable. After years of profitable robberies, Butch and the Sundance Kid decided to abandon their criminal past and relocate to South America, aspiring for a new beginning. They remained inconspicuous for a period, but in time they were lured into another theft, this occasion taking a payroll in Bolivia. The Bolivian cavalry encircled their shelter and a violent shootout occurred. By midnight, 2 gunshots sounded. When the confusion cleared, both men were deceased. The Sundance Kid had a round directly in the center of his forehead, and Butch Cassidy had ended his own life with a shot to his head. The uncertainty regarding their deaths stays unanswered. Some reports allege Cassidy survived for years afterward, prolonging the myth of these 2 renegades long after their assumed death. Tom Horn. Tom Horn was a scout, cowhand, and ill-famed mercenary in the later 1800s. His function in the Old West was characterized by his vicious work as a lawman and bounty hunter, pursuing criminals and malcontents with merciless proficiency. Horn acquired a daunting renown for his skill in tracking individuals across the rough terrain, and his work was greatly sought. However, his life changed for the worse when he was charged with killing a 14-year-old boy in 1901, a deed he insisted he did not do. Despite his protestations, Horn was found guilty and given a death sentence by hanging. On November 20th, 1903, he was put to death, his life concluding in a subdued, melancholy way. His demise stays disputed, as some continue to think he was not guilty, adding one more aspect to the enigma enveloping his story. 6. Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid, or that kid as he was known, was infamous for his reckless behavior. By his 18th year, he had already murdered 17 individuals, yet he remained at large, avoiding arrest. But in 1881, Sheriff Pat Garrett finally apprehended him, bringing the youthful outlaw to trial. Billy was convicted of his offenses and sentenced to execution by hanging. Yet just prior to his appointment with the gallows, Billy succeeded in fleeing, killing 2 guards in the process. Sheriff Garrett, as determined as always, dedicated 3 months to pursuing Billy, tracking every hint of his location. Finally, a tip led him to Maxwell Ranch in New Mexico. One evening, Garrett silently moved into the darkness of Billy's chamber, anticipating the perfect instant. When Billy walked in, Garrett fired his weapon, terminating the outlaw's rule. But even in death, Billy's narrative continued to ignite fantastic claims. Some questioned whether it was truly him who had perished that night, or if a different youthful man, perhaps similar to Buffalo Bill Cody, had been killed. Years afterward, 2 men would declare themselves to be Billy the Kid, but their tales never were validated upon examination. 7. Buffalo Bill Cody. Buffalo Bill Cody was an icon during his era, renowned for his touring production, Buffalo Bill's Wild West, which carried the narrative of the frontier to spectators everywhere. His designation became interchangeable with the Wild West, and his impact reached throughout the country. But on January 10, 1917, Cody's life ended in Denver, where he passed from kidney disease while seeing his sister. His death would be as theatrical as his life, particularly due to his dying desire. Cody's testament stated that he wished to be interred on the summit of Lookout Mountain in Colorado, where the vista would embody the spirit of his fabled life. But the elements had different intentions. A thick layer of snow obstructed the trail up the mountain, making it unreachable throughout the chilly winter season. In an attempt to respect his wish, the mortuary preserved his remains in cold storage for 6 months, preserving it repeatedly. A dispute emerged concerning whether Cody ought to be buried in Cody, Wyoming, the settlement he established, or on Lookout Mountain. In the end, it was settled. His grave would be on the mountain, although gossip endures that his body could have been relocated to Wyoming. Ironically, the exact location where his corpse rested for 6 months has now become an eatery called Linger, permanently linking the site to his remembrance. 3. Calamity Jane. Calamity Jane was a female who challenged the conventional limits of her era. Recognized for her unruly conduct, she frequently posed as a male, employed by the Pony Express, and potentially even participating in more disreputable occupations to endure. She subsequently became a member of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where her marksmanship abilities brought her renown. As her fame expanded, so did her affection for powerful liquor and boisterous evenings, resulting in a struggle with alcoholism that would characterize much of her days. For years, she fought against the drink, and at age 51, her life concluded. In an ironic turn, was interred alongside her former comrade, Wild Bill Hickok, her one-time drinking partner. If you like these accounts, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for further legends from the Old West. Thank you for viewing.